Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. It's been a very long time, so let me give a brief explanation as to why. So I'd been over the Christmas break working on the wiring install, and I came back one day and this is what happened. So someone had tried to break in through the front door, through the side window and through the back. They probably saw the shit box and it was up on jack stands and thought, fuck, I can't move this anyway. There's nothing else in here that's worth getting at. So it doesn't look like they got into the room anyway, but there would be nothing really to steal unless they wanted a whole bunch of weird random car parts. So it probably wouldn't be handy unless you had a Datsun 1200, or if you could get the car out, at least you could pilfer some of the parts, including the engine and gearbox. But they couldn't open the front door, luckily. So yeah, so I had to move that day. I had to move everything. This was in January, by the way. I had to pack up and get a towie to come and take this straight away, put it in a location that I can't really get to and can't really work on it. So I have done a bit more of the wiring, and it's now almost I've got to get it into a location where I'm at now so I can actually work on it and do a lot more quicker mods and upgrades to it so I can finally finish the fucking thing. But anyway, that's where we are at with the ute. I will have a video coming up shortly about that, finishing off the wiring, or the next stages of the wiring. I think there'll be 2 videos to cover the wiring, just because, yeah, there's just a few bits and pieces there, and I'm breaking it down because I don't want to make long videos. It takes a long time to edit, it takes a long time to make, and I don't think people watch the long videos, so I'm trying to keep them all short. But this is a long fucking spiel, so let's get into the actual video. Today, we're going to fix this bonnet and the rust hole that we've got in the middle of it. Not rust hole, the rust poking through. As you can see underneath here, it's fucking huge if you look underneath, so I just want to rectify that. Looking at the panels on the side, they're pretty faded, and so I am just not going to try. I'm going to spray this out of a can, so I'm not going to do the bonnet in the color of the whatever the fuck this is, pewter or metallic silvery gold or bronze or whatever. What I'm going to do is I'm going to black out the bonnet until I can get it over to a panel beater to do a proper job. Now the only issue I have with that is that I've already got a couple of quotes. One was 1,500 and one was 2.5. The 2.5 in particular was spraying the whole front of the car, which, while great, I actually like the look of a slightly faded car, and this is pretty tidy, so I probably will do that at some point. But damn, that's fucking expensive. I've got a spare bonnet. I'm not going to fix this one, not going to cut out any rust or anything like that. I've got a spare bonnet that's in pretty decent condition, so let's go down and look at that in the dungeon garage. The S12 paint job is a bit old and a bit rough, so instead of trying to paint the bonnet and make it look brand new, I thought I'd just paint this black, see how it works, because I'm going to do it from a can. Because I use this as pretty much a daily driver, I don't need it to be immaculate or perfect, plus the paint's faded, so I figured a black bonnet will be fine. I'm not a particularly big fan of black bonnets, but I don't want rust either, and I don't want to have to pay, you know, between 1,500 and 2.5K to get it color matched and painted by a professional. Surface rust in areas, but nothing too major. First thing I'm going to do is get rid of all this, I think it's heat mat. Looks a bit worse for wear anyway, get rid of it. Check that there's no other rust underneath there. Just give it a clean and sand back the parts where the surface rust is popping up, mainly along here I think, and we'll see what's under here. Here, I'll just dab them up with Pour 15, flip it over, sand it back nice and smooth, make sure there's no dents in it, and then start painting. So let's get into it. Not bad. There's really nothing to worry about there in that body. No rust. Just this little bit here, so I'll really just give that scratch down here, and just touch it up with Pour 15 so it's nice and sealed, and then flip it over, maybe here too. Alright, let's give it a clean first. Looks like there's a little bit of a ding, maybe a rust hole there. I'll keep cutting, see what's under there. So, a couple of holes. Fuck, they put a lot of bog on there considering it's just that. There's a little bit of a bend there, but that looks straight, so I guess we won't know until we try and test fit it. Not too bad, could be worse. This car's all about functionality for me. Just want it to look neat and I don't want it to rust up. I'm gonna get Car Builder's under bonnet heat cover and cover the whole bonnet anyway, so it's cool. I'll just give that a really good clean before I do that. Now let's flip it over and start working on the top. Let's give it a wash. Make sure it's nice and clean. And use a bit of general purpose cleaner. Something simple. Don't want to make too much of a mess with the water here. A few higher areas here. Ooh, all the clear coat. Yeah, so that I'm going to use 180 grit for the really rough parts. The rest I'm going to do over 400. Do a coat of undercoat and then probably hit that with 600. 2 coats of undercoat, then hit that with 600 and then go black. And I think that should do it. I'll go a fair few layers of black, I think, just to see how it lasts. It's looking pretty good. Nice and smooth transitions, can't feel a thing. Alright, let's work on this one now. Not too bad actually, not minding that blue. Looks pretty cool. That colour underneath that grey, I guess that was just fucking deep layer of dust. It's a lot lighter than you can see here, but anyway, it's all pretty smooth. One thing I haven't found is one dent. It's tiny, so I might... I'll see if I can. I think I can get to it from underneath. It's so minuscule that I might just fucking bog it up. We'll see. Anyway, I was sanding on a cross hatch style, left to right, right to left, just so that, you know, I wasn't grinding down one valley, which you tend to do when you're just going straight in one area. So I mean, I might have still done it anyway, but I think this helps minimize it. Wipe it down with wax and grease remover again, then hit it with 400 everywhere, 400 grit everywhere, so it's semi-smooth, ready for the etch primer. So I tried to locate that hole, the dent here underneath, but it looks like it's underneath a little supporting panel or something, so I couldn't quite get to it. And I made a bit of a, if anything, I probably made a bit of a high spot here, so yeah, I'm just going to have to fill that up with bog. It's moments like this that explain the name Shitbox Garage. I've sanded smooth the bog in the spots that I put it. I've hit the rest of it with 400 grit, including those bog parts obviously, and then now I just need to wipe it down with some wax and grease remover. Next up, I'll be putting on the first layer of undercoat. Tried to use long sweeping, as even as possible spray strokes as I could to lay the paint, build the layers up as I went, nice and thin each time. 2 cans wasn't quite enough coverage though, I needed at least a half can more. The 2 cans I got that I used at the beginning were from VG Rigoli and they were really good, and then I used what I had in the garage of half empty undercoat cans, etch primer cans, but the gas was pretty compromised, so it wasn't really ideal for such a large panel, which is probably the biggest factor about spray painting from a can as opposed to doing it properly from a gun with the necessary air compressor. Also, it does pay to have a really clean room to spray in. A lot of tiny bits of dust landed on the surface, painted surface, but most of that I was able to take care of when I sanded it down. But yeah, something to consider. Went over it a couple of times with 800. Looks pretty good everywhere. There's just tiny little bits that I guess came through to the undercoat, which is okay, I suppose. It's on the edge here. That looks like metal though, so I'm going to have to hit that. I don't remember going that deep underneath. There wasn't too many bits of metal, especially on the edge, but it looks like it there. But I don't know if you can see or not, but this is a good reminder to make sure to clean, especially with wax and grease remover, but anything, just give it a proper wipe down before you start sanding, because while I can't feel it, I can see it, and I know that scratch is going to appear if I go over it with the paint. I have to let this dry out, probably hit it with another coat, which is okay, because I think that undercoat, is that undercoat or is that fucking bolt? Like I did think it was a bit thin in some spots, so. Alright, now comes the fun part. So first up, I wipe down the whole bonnet with wax and grease remover. Now we're going to start building up the paint bit by bit. Okay, there we go. Just kept on building the layers up. Took 3 cans and about half of a fourth, so it was quite a bit. It's not bad. It's not perfect, that's for sure. It's still drying a bit. See, with the light you can still see some of the streakiness, so maybe it's still drying, I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see what it looks like when it's fully dried. Yeah, try and get it from every different angle. Does look pretty good for a shitty home job out of a can. As I said, once it's dry, we'll see if I need to sand it down, if I need to give it another coat or two. But yeah, man, it looks pretty cool. The reflections really do look funny, so that's what I'm just worried about with the lighting. Is it gonna, like when it's out in the sunlight, what's it gonna look like? So anyway, yeah, that's the job done out of a can. I think the hardest thing is, see here at the front, it's really nice and smooth, whereas because you could angle the can just like you go straight onto it there, whereas when I was going there to keep the can still spraying, you have to sort of angle it straightish, and then it spreads the spray a bit further, whereas you wouldn't have that sort of problem if you had an air compressor or a proper gun. I just had to go with what I had. So yeah, maybe after it's fully dried I'll have a look and see if I need to give it another sand down. Maybe then I can put another like layer or 2 on top if it really needs it, but we'll see. It looks pretty good now, the coverage. So yeah, okay, there's a little bit more effort to go into it before I can put it onto the car though. I need to flip it over, I need to make sure all the sprayers for the windscreen wiper washer is in line, make sure there's no, or you know, if there's any little rubber mounts that go there, and then I need another person to help me actually take the old bonnet off and put the new one on. So I'm gonna have to find someone around here or get one of my mates to come over here and help me put that on. But also before I do that, I've got a box of Car Builder's under bonnet heat protection. So that's what I'm going to do in the next video. I'm going to flip this over very carefully and apply the Car Builder's under bonnet heat cover. It's supposed to look like OEM, so we'll see how it looks and how it applies. But yeah, that should be really good. It's been a while, but I should be back now with a few more videos, so see you on the next one.